That leads us into choose what you want to believe. Choose what you want to believe about yourself. And the easy thing to write down is what people are telling you. People are telling you wonderful, great things about yourself. Maybe you should consider believing them. Wanting to believe them, because that's one of the first things, is wanting to believe it, because we get into these victim things, like our lives are so terrible, even like maybe they are, like maybe you're going through some stuff and life isn't super great to you right now. That's a thing, but it doesn't mean you have to sit there and let that kind of be the shadow of your whole entire life. But I think that's easy to do when we're struggling, and when, especially with mental health. And if you have postpartum depression, or you are going through a death, or, something like that, it's easy to have that kind of overshadow your whole life. That's easy. The work is choosing it not to not have that overshadow your whole life, right? So we get to choose what we want to believe. So what do you want to believe about yourself? You get to believe whatever you want. I mean, in your message that you sent me this weekend was, I have been thinner, stronger, whatever, prettier, whatever it is, like in the past, like maybe you've been, you've had a couple of kids. So maybe before your kids, your body had less weight on it. Right. And you would assume in your brain that you were prettier then because you were skinnier. Right. Like that's weird stuff we have in our heads. Right. Yeah. But maybe he hasn't ever seen you more beautiful than you are today. And it's because you think it about yourself. It has nothing to do with the weight that you have on your body. It doesn't have anything to do with how strong you are, how often you go to the gym, or whatever. It doesn't have anything to do with it. It's the confidence that he sees. And every husband wants to have a confident wife, every single one of them, every single one of them. And so that's why we're doing this series of becoming a high value woman. Give yourself the gift of thinking you're amazing, because you are. And then give
letting
your
other
husband,
people tell you good things. I like to take it back. I mean, I don't know. Part of what the difference is, I'm receiving him differently. And so he just, it's easier. I mean, Christ is the example of this. We love him because he loved us. So he sees me because I see him. Right? Like we can take it back to that second point, learning how to accept compliments. If it's exhausting to give you a compliment, if it's demeaning to give you a compliment, if you give somebody a compliment and they meet you with an insult, meaning like, I like your shirt, where did you get it from? And you were like, this old thing, this is just for my grab bag, this is my, then you're like insulting their preferences. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't have good taste. You don't know what a good voice sounds like. You don't know what a funny person sounds like. You don't know what a good speaker looks like. You don't know what a pretty woman looks like. You don't know what a smart guy, like, you don't know. It's so insulting.
Yes.
Right? And then it's exhausting. Like, I know sometimes I always felt starved for compliments because I was so mean to myself. Right? Like, ladies, I'm sure I'm not the only one. We're so mean to ourselves that we're just we're starved for positivity. So if anybody gives us something positive, then it's like, we're like starving for it. So we say, oh no. And whatever we say, and what it does is it makes them come back and defend their compliment with more compliments. It's gross. It's weird. It's exhausting. So when you learn how to accept them, even if you aren't to the point where you can believe it, it's like somebody coming to your door and knocking, like, hi, I made this gift for you. And you're not going to be like, this old thing. Even if you just take it and go put it on your counter and say, thank you. And then decide, am I going to hang this in my house? Is this going to go in the soap dish? Am I going to use this potpourri? Am I going to wear this? Like, whatever the gift was, then you decide, how am I going to use this in my life? But at least take it graciously.
Yes.
Like, sit with it a minute.
Yes. Yes. Yes, I love that. I love that analogy. And sometimes that's what we need, is to think of something that is seemingly doesn't have a lot of emotional connection, like potpourri,
Yeah.
to make the connection of, oh, I don't want to shut the door on my husband when he compliments me. I don't want to do that. I don't want to reject him like that. That's not the relationship that I want to have with my husband.
Mhm.
And so that connection and realization, and then for me to take responsibility for how I show up in our relationship, because sometimes some of the stuff that we're talking about could kind of land like a sting a little bit, because we are responsible for the relationships that we are in.
Mhm.
We are responsible for the life that we live, for the experience that we are having on this earth. We are responsible for it. It's not anyone else's job. No one else is responsible for the way that we're living our lives. And we've got to take control of that and decide who we want to be.
Mhm.
So that's why we decided to come on and do this series, is because I don't know any other place that's kind of talking about this stuff. And if you and I feel strongly about it, there's got to be other women that are like, what's happening here?
Yeah.
We need some help. We need to find our people that think the way that we think and are going to uplift us and inspire us. That's what we want to do. We want to uplift and inspire.
Yeah.
And encourage and make an impact. That's who you and I feel like we are in this world. That's our destiny, is to uplift and inspire.